You're listening to Parasearch UK Radio. News, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch UK Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
It's Monday evening, and you're listening to Jo and Gemma on the Supernaturelle show.
Good evening, ladies and gents, and welcome to this week's episode of the Supernaturelle show with myself, Gemma, and the beautiful Jolene. Good evening, Jo.
Good evening, lovely. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm watching you at the moment, just tapping away at something. So yeah,
I know. I'm sharing.
You're sharing
I'm sharing to the world that we're live.
I know. I think I need to do that as well, don't I? So while you're tapping. So we've had a bit of a busy week, haven't we? We've not really seen each other, have we?
No, we've not really had a chance to speak this week either. It's been weird. I'm not sure I like it.
Yeah, that face looks like a surprise face at that. So what's so surprising?
Well, we talk all the time, so to have a week where we don't particularly speak, it's unusual.
I think it's been manic though, hasn't it, with everything that's been going on. We went to Hack Green and then work and everything, but I know you get double whammy this week, don't you?
Double whammy with a wifey.
I know, Friday night, Saturday night, and it's like, I might even drag you walking on Sunday as well, so make sure you wrap up warm.
Now you're pushing your luck. And on that note,
yeah, we've got an absolutely fantastic guest with us this evening. We've got the lovely Hazel Ford from none other but the biggest ghost hunting company in the UK, known as Haunted Happenings. So welcome, Hazel, and thank you for joining us.
Hi, girls. Thank you for asking me.
Oh, we wouldn't want anybody else, I swear.
Oh.
Right, before we move on with the whole interview, I have got one thing that I'll address while the three of us. So you know the GMB, Good Morning Britain show that we three of us were on. I can't speak tonight. I do apologise. Honestly,
it's usually me that does that.
Oh, I quit already. So we was all on GMB together. And I received a few nasty comments. I know MJ did. Yeah, did you not receive any nasty comments?
Well, by saying no, which I didn't, I'll be honest, I didn't get anything. There might have been thousands. I wouldn't have seen them anyway because I never look at anything, as you probably realise. But I didn't see anything, and nothing came. There was nothing evident to me. Nobody sent me anything that was nasty or anything derogatory. I didn't see or hear anything about you guys either, to be honest.
Oh, well, in all fairness, I think mine actually came through to my personal Twitter account. So at least I was kind enough to do that. But one of the things that I picked up on through having a nosy, and it was only after I received quite a few messages that I was like, I'm off to have a look now, see what's being said.
Yeah.
So I did. I trottled off, and one of them was like, well, what are those three doing on here? They run events companies. Now, the one thing that drove me mad about that was just because we do events companies does not mean to say that we are not paranormal investigators.
True. But the people that would have said, what the hell are they doing on there? They just run events companies, are people that probably also run events companies and probably not as good events companies, or they wish they were running events companies, or they've got an issue with events companies rather than an issue with us guys being on the TV promoting ghost hunting.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree, but I weren't having it. So I'm guessing you'd have probably have seen the rant that I went on my personal Facebook.
No.
There was. Did you not?
I'm
Oh,
gonna go and have a
Hazel,
look.
you're
This show's
shocking.
over. I'm straight on your Facebook. No,
Well,
I honestly haven't seen anything but
Well-
positivity since I came off. Since I
well,
came off
the
from away from that.
positivity was amazing. You know, the amount of people that sent congratulations and well wishes, that was phenomenal. It completely made up for the odd one or two that wanted to have their 2 pennies worth.
But don't you think it's weird though, Gemma? You've just said it. So you got loads and loads of positive feedback, yeah?
Yeah.
And then you get a couple, 2 or 3 people that are hell bent on making sure that you don't enjoy 1 second of it.
Yeah, it's just a
Oh, yes.
minority
Well,
though,
And
isn't it?
which are the ones that do you know what I mean? So suddenly
Well, the
it's like,
funniest thing about it, the worst message that I got that was basically telling me that I was too fat and ugly to be on
that's
TV.
disgusting.
It had a few other choice words in there, but obviously I'm editing. for the sake
Yeah,
of the
no,
radio,
that's
so.
just disgusting, isn't it?
But what right has anybody got to say, you know, who goes on TV and who doesn't? Who's got a right to tell anybody if they're fat, thin? You know, you could be.
Oh,
You could be
absolutely
a
nobody.
size. You could be a size 0, and people would still pull you up for it.
Oh, do you know what? I don't care. The camera adds £10 on. That's 10 extra pounds that I don't actually have. So move on.
But you both looked absolutely amazing. You both looked so beautiful, and nobody could have said otherwise. You both looked so beautiful.
Well, I think we all
and
rocked it.
MJ, you all
All
look so
the-
beautiful.
The whole girls' club, we all rocked it. We're all beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, we just did the
Oh.
best. We could do the best with what we've got, really. Don't
Well, yeah, exactly. We had
when
5
you get to
minutes.
my age, you're past caring.
Oh, I think I'm past caring right now anyway, to be honest, Hazel.
Well, I think you look beautiful, and to be honest, anybody that puts something on social networking that tries to fat shame or shame somebody in any way whatsoever isn't worth even looking at, talking to.
Funniest thing about it, I mean, I trawled through the accounts that sent me negative messages on Twitter because I'm not a big Twitter user anyway. The
No, I'm
odd
not.
time I'll pop up on Twitter, that's all it is. It's the odd time, and it's only usually if somebody comments or I get a notification.
Yeah.
So I trawled through these people's profiles, and I can 100% sit here and say with conviction that those accounts were pseudo accounts.
Mm-hmm. And they nearly always are, because no one's got the courage to actually fess up and say what they want to say. Because if they did,
Yep.
they'd do it in a much better way than they do by doing it in their nasty, derogatory comments that they make on Facebook and social media. They wouldn't behave like that in their normal jobs or in their own lives. You know, I've often said to people that have tried to attack me, would you like me to come to your office or where you work and attack you in your job in the way you're attacking me right now? And they soon stop. They soon change the tack.
Oh, I'm not surprised. It's all right sitting behind a keyboard.
And that's what I was just about to say. It's keyboard warriors. That's all it is. And people have got so much to say when they're sat there tapping away at their keyboard. But give them a social... they've got no social etiquette. That's basically what it is. They've got no communication skills in this day and age because everybody tends to hide behind, you know, the social networking side. They wouldn't dare dream of coming up to anybody in normal day-to-day life and saying, oh, by the way, Joe, I didn't like you in this. They'll sit behind a computer and be a faceless.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you. Don't worry about that.
It goes from the respectful, I would have preferred this to have happened and it would have been better for me if you'd done X, Y, Z, to you're just a nasty blah, 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 and you look like blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? So it's like the dark side of people comes out in this keyboard because they wouldn't do that in any other place in their life.
I wouldn't dream of doing that to somebody. I think it's horrible that if people are so nasty to other people, you know, who they don't know, what are they like to people that they do know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, they wouldn't be, would they?
I mean,
we've actually done it. We had a painter and decorator. I found out it's a painter and decorator, worked for a company, quite local actually, who was attacking us behind a keyboard. But we found out who it was. And I did threaten to turn up at his work and do exactly what he's doing to us, to him, at his place of work.
Yeah.
They
Could you
wouldn't like
imagine the
it.
faces? No, exactly. They wouldn't know what to do. It's
No.
they're all right sitting behind the keyboard, but can't back it up, if you will.
No, and that's the thing about the paranormal. I don't know if it happens in every walk of life, but I've been so many things. I've done so many jobs. I've worked in so many sort of, places and sort of NHS, psychotherapy to sports clinics. I've done loads, and nowhere ever has been as bad as it is in the paranormal.
No, I'll second that though, to be honest, because you come up against other people and their views, and sometimes people put their views onto you, and you just sometimes I find myself just accepting things because I just think I really cannot be bothered arguing with narrow-minded people.
But they want an argument, don't they?
Yeah,
and there's no experts who could possibly. I mean, there might be an expert way of investigating. I'll concede that. There might be ways of putting really, expertise into controls and things, and I get that. But I don't think there's an expert on the paranormal itself, because unless you've died and come back, how the hell do you know?
Yeah, I mean, we've all said it, haven't we? We've all said it. We all said it when we went and did the photo shoot down at the Daily Mail, which we all had a blast. There is nobody who is an absolute expert who can categorically, hands down, sit there and say, I've seen this is what it is, and this is how it's happened. Nobody can actually say that, because otherwise we'd stop hunting for the answers that we're all seeking. Exactly.
And I think enough people are doing it now that somebody is, if there was any real truth in all of this, and this is me as one of the biggest ghost hunting companies saying this, but if there was any real truth, part of me thinks it would definitely have been found by now. It would have had to have been. So, this search for the truth is something that everyone's going to go on their journey, whatever it is, to get that. But for my part, I think if there was any real truth, somebody would have got it by now. Somebody would have had to have found something.
Yeah.
I mean, there's enough photos and things going out that make you ask the question, aren't there? There's enough sort of evidence that makes you question it, but nothing absolutely set in stone.
Yeah, and we all know, don't we, though, as well, that there are, software programs out there that people can manipulate, videos on YouTube. People can manipulate photographs. People can do that, and there are people who are actually doing that. And
definitely.
It's kind of like, why would you cheat not only yourself, but why would you cheat other people out of having the experience of listening to either a spirit voice or looking at a spirit photograph and having that, somebody take it, and then for somebody to sit there and say, oh no, that's not real, that you've done that on some software, and when there are people out there who actually do it.
There's no middle ground, is there? Because you've got somebody that's got a brilliant photo and you want them to be able to put it up on social media to get people's impressions of it, but all they do is get slated and attacked.
Yeah.
So they don't. You feel sorry for them for putting it up in the first place, but you really want to know what people's perspectives are, and you're never going to really truly know unless somebody can come on and say, right, in a really calm way, without any judgment, I think this could be something real, or I think this could be because of this.
Yeah.
And,
it's like
no good argument.
Yeah, it's like, do you remember? I mean, I know I saw it, but the photograph that you guys took at Newsham Park.
Yeah, the lady in the crowd.
Yeah,
and the team.
And it was like, I saw so many comments on that post saying, "Oh, it must be fake," or something. I can't. There was some quite choice words, I'd like to say.
Yeah. What was even better though, Jo, was we had nearly 200 people come forward to say it was them.
Right.
So we had people actually saying that it was them. They were on that event that night. So they were trying to lay claim to the photo being themselves, but none of them could back it up with anything.
Oh, well, I was just thinking, actually, to be fair, if that was the case, then that was a very, very busy event.
It was, I mean, and then they'd say it was, if they went from that to say it was their sister or honestly, it was. And then we had one lady who threatened to sue me because she said it was them. It was her. So we said, look, we're not saying this is paranormal. We're just saying this is odd because there's one extra in the team, in the guest list, that wasn't on our guest list. When anyone that goes to Newsham knows that there's a fire register, so we need to know exactly who's in the building and how many.
I mean, in all fairness, that's just standard on any public event. You need to know who is in that building. Absolutely.
But Newsham, you have two fire registers. You have one before you go, and then you make another one when you get there. So you know you've got a cross-reference one as well for double names, because we send, we send one off to the fire department itself. So we knew who was on that event, and there was one person on that event that wasn't accounted for. Now that doesn't mean it has to be paranormal, does it? No. But then somebody noticed this lady in the crowd that looked a bit strange. Just a bit strange. I'm not saying she looked ugly or anything, just a bit strange compared to everything else. And we just asked the question. We didn't even put it there. It was a guest that put it up. So, yeah, I mean, things take off because people make their own speculation about it. And even though a lot of that speculation was negative, it had its own momentum. We didn't do anything. It just had its own momentum.
I mean, that's the problem, though, isn't it? I mean, I've got a really good photo, haven't I, Jo? One with a shadow behind me on the stairs.
Yeah.
That has been sent pretty much everywhere for somebody to try and debunk it and get back to me. And nobody has been able to debunk it as yet. But you put it out on social media and people say it's angle of the camera, it's camera flare causing a shadow behind you. I'm like, it is impossible for it to be camera flare because of the angle. The only light that was on was in my hand. It's impossible for that to cause a shadow behind me.
But don't you think that when you put something up like that on social media, everybody becomes a photography expert?
Well, everybody wants to. It's like it wants to be disproven, and which is fair enough, because I think unless you can absolutely categorically say that something's paranormal, you're always going to try and disprove it, really, aren't you? Or try and make sense of it. But we, on our events, what we do is with the guest, if we won't put anything out there that we haven't seen ourselves on the event. So we have to have been with the guest that took the photo, and we have to see the 3 photos. We have to see the before, the after, or the 2 before, the 1. Do you know what I mean? We have to see those 3 photos. So we won't put anything out there. I don't know if you saw the Dudley Castle one this week.
Yep, seen it.
So that one we can't work out at all. We don't know what that is, to be honest. It's gone to the papers, obviously, and they've put it up, and it's going to be annihilated or revealed. We don't know what it is, but it's just we don't know. If we can't ask that question, there's no point.
No,
It's say,
impossible.
Is this something, and put the conditions of how it's taken and be authentic about it, then there's no point in doing any of it, is there? And your photo, Gemma,
exactly, and like you say, you know
the truth, and that's all that matters. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I literally put it out there for people to try and debunk it. If somebody could tell me what it was, then great, even better.
Yeah, and that's what you're asking when you're putting it up there. Could somebody please explain? This is what happened. These are conditions. Could you please help to explain it? Not, you know, all the abuse that goes
do within the paranormal is transparent. I would not fake anything for anybody, because that's not me as a person. Just like it's not you and it's not Jo.
But they're just words, aren't they? I mean, at the end of the day, we've got a vested interest, or in particularly myself, I've got a vested interest in the paranormal because it makes me a lot of money and creates a wonderful business for me. So my interest in the paranormal is completely secure in that sense. I'm never going to deny that. But then on the other side of the coin, we're not telling everybody that we're taking them to see a ghost.
No.
All we're doing is taking them to what is reputed to be a haunted building for the opportunity to find out for themselves, and we'll facilitate the conditions to see if they can get any evidence. That's it.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It would be amazing if we could say, come with us and we'll show you a ghost. You know, we'd all be happy.
I think we'd all be minted as well.
Yeah, well, there is that.
There is another photo that we've got, and it is absolutely brilliant. It's a brilliant photo, and one of the guests that took it, we don't know what she's going to do with it yet, but when that comes out, it's phenomenal. And I just, you know, I've given her she's got the respect to do what she wants with it, even though it was on our event. It's up to her what she does with it, and she's asked not to do anything at the moment. But I'm really hoping that when that comes out, people can really look at it. It's amazing.
Yeah, I can't wait for that to come out. If it comes out,
it's the best I've ever seen anywhere, and it is so clear. And the conditions have all been tested. Everything's been tested. Back to the location, testing, and there's no way that they could be faked. I don't think, in my view, the way that it's all coming in to the photo and leaving the photo.
Oh, I can't wait to see that. I really hope she lets that one come out public so we can see it.
Yeah, I think she'll probably sell it. And even if she does, it doesn't matter as long as it gets out in the public domain.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I'd be grateful to see it. So, Hazel, Haunted Happenings.
Haunted Happenings.
As we've said, it is one of, if not the big ghost hunting company in the UK. Now, me and Jo run events. We know exactly what it's like. I'm sure it wasn't easy to get to the point where you're at now.
No, it's actually consumed my life for the last 12 years, to be honest, Gemma, to the point where it is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and there's no escape from it, because whatever you create, you're committed to, aren't you? Mm-hmm. So, and you have to see it through to make sure everything's right. So you could put an event up, which seems easy to do, but when you're doing sort of 12 to 14 a week, you suddenly, you know, what could be a day's work for one event is 12 days in a week for 12 events. If you see where I'm going.
12 days.
And like you say, you know people think that it's really easy to set up an event as well. And it's really not, let's be honest. You've got to sort your staffing, you've got to sort your equipment, you've got to sort your insurance, you've got to sort your guest list. It is not as easy.
Fire regulations, health and safety,
exactly.
First aid equipment, you've got to have all of that. You've got to make sure you've got everything packed up, ready to go, and it is difficult.
It's actually, I mean, Haunted Happenings is turned into a sort of well-oiled machine in a way, because we do so many. We literally run it as a full-time business. So we have structured days doing certain jobs on those days that we have to do for the whole weekend. So we have a day of putting the team in, a day of sorting out risk assessments. Everything's done. There's all the housekeeping that you do on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday prior to the weekend's events. But then you've got to be forward planning all the time as well. You can't just do the events you've got. They're in the past, really. Everything for the next 6 months is my past, if that makes sense.
Oh, completely.
So I've got to be thinking about, 2020 now. And that's how it always works. But you're still managing your present at the same time.
So you've got your 6 months in advance, which is actually your past. You're pre-planning 6 months to a year in advance. And then on top of that, you're still making sure it's going to be running for the whole year.
Yeah. And you've got to make sure that every one of those guests, and we're taking round about between 250 and 300 guests a week. So you've got to make sure each and every one of those guests is happy as well. Do you know what I mean? As well as your team and everything else. And the team dynamics are very important. You can have great ghost hunters, but they're no good to me. I need people that are great facilitators, great with people, great organisers, think on their feet, all that sort of stuff. The ghost hunting is very secondary to all of that.
Yeah, well, it is in an events company, without a doubt. It really is.
It all boils down to that one thing, though, isn't it? It's customer service at the end of the day.
Absolutely, Jo. The
customers are not going to come back if they don't have a good service. And I mean, we've had so many lovely comments, haven't we, Gemma, when we've done events previously, and people are like, oh, we didn't expect, it to be a good laugh, or, we didn't expect it to be so friendly. And I mean, I'm being honest now, I've been on a few events with other, people, and it's been, you walk in and it's like, they don't talk to you, and you just sit there and you think, I've paid all this money for no one to talk to me, no one to explain anything to me. And then just give me.
And the sadness about that, though, is that might be their one and only ever ghost hunt, because they'll consider that to be the norm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So depending on, I'm not gonna. I know groups that I would never. We all know Newsham's having a few issues at the moment. So I'm having to feed guests out to other, if they've really booked something for that weekend and they want to be there, I'm looking at events for them with other companies that I can feed them out to. So, so I'm phoning up companies saying, can you take 4 guests here and 5 guests there or what have you? And I'm really loath.
Which again isn't easy.
No, but I'm loath to do it. I mean, I'm making it very clear to my guests that, I know nothing about how they run their events. I'm only putting them in that direction because they've got an event on that night where they need to be.
Yeah.
And I don't like doing it. A, because I haven't got any control over their experience to a degree, but B, because we might lose them as guests as well, which is there's always that danger, which is okay. If they're having a great time, then that's fine, and I'm prepared to make that loss. But if they're not having a great time...
I always think, though, if a guest comes on an event and they've been on one of your events and they've had a fantastic time, and then they go to another company and they have an equally fantastic time, I think it does kind of warrant, you do tend to keep guests and they go to different events. Like we've got a couple of friends and we always say to them all, these guys are going on this event this night. So, go and have a great time and, just come back and let us know what it's like.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, we have lots of guests. It's like, I don't know if you've ever been in where another ghost hunting company's tried to sell you their Facebook page.
Oh,
yeah.
And you think to yourself, well, we've all got the same guests. There's absolutely no point in buying it because we've all got the same guests. These people are going to join as many groups as they can, as many Facebooks as they can, because they're venturing into the paranormal and trying to get the best for themselves, best evidence.
Yeah, I mean, in all fairness, when it comes to shopping around for a team, if you will, I think you have to find the team that fits you. You have to find people that you click with, and once you click with somebody, that's when you get your returning customers time and time again.
Yeah,
I know.
I think it's I look at it from a different perspective though as well, because we've got to cater for every single market. So we know that there are going to be people from, low income families who save up at least 3 months to come on a ghost hunting event.
Yeah,
and you have to give them an amazing experience. And we know people who go to events week in, week out and spend hundreds of pounds on equipment, on the events themselves, on hotel rooms, and they go up and down the country, but they equally have the same experience as what we would give somebody from the low income family who wants to experience that.
Yeah, I agree with that, Jo. I also think that you have people on your events that returning customers are coming back again and again and again, and they get more and more leeway all the time. Mm-hmm. So to the point where it's almost a mutual trust. So they come in and then they get their own locations even, because they don't need us anymore. They've outgrown us. They know how we work. We know they're going to work effectively and be part of our team to a degree. And we let them go off and do their own thing. Or we take other groups, paranormal groups with us that can't afford the locations.
Yeah.
And give them their own areas and what have you, and just say, meet us here at the break and have a great night, guys. And they love it.
I mean, I've been with you actually, Hazel, on an event with you, and you said exactly that. You don't have to stay with the team. If you want to go off to your own thing, you're more than welcome. So
because we're only facilitating what you already know. It's a bit like teaching your grandmother to suck eggs. But the only thing I have to make sure that stays in place, like you would do on yours, is the noise pollution. So it's creating those conditions, isn't it, and making sure that anyone that is with you doesn't end up walking around during your vigils and things like that. So that's the only structure.
But that just comes in with I've totally lost the plot. I have no idea what I was going to say.
Something, aren't you?
It's trust, isn't it? It's a massive trust element that you have when you invite people to come on events and they have that experience, and then they're going off and doing their own experiments and things like that. You have to have an enormous amount of trust in people to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And the people that you trust in have to have respect for yourselves as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I trust my team, and we've got 50 team members, 52 actually, 53, someone else joining this week. 53 across the country, and we have to trust them implicitly to do their job right. And whilst they're doing their job well, it means that all the guests are getting a great time as well. But you can imagine, you know what it's like with the members of the public as well. You're never going to get it right all the time.
Oh,
ever.
never in a million years.
You're never going to please everybody.
In the ideal world, that'd be great. But realistically, you can't. I mean, I've had people complain to me before that on an investigation, they've not seen a ghost. Well, I'm sorry, but I don't have them in my back pocket.
Well,
I can't magically make that happen. If that's going to happen, it's going to happen. There's nothing that I or anybody else can do to increase the chances.
Do you have those guests that turn up and they're waiting to be jumped out on?
Yeah, we actually have to say to them,
like,
we're not going to come out
that.
in a white sheet and, scare people, because that's not
but
how
they're
we
so
work.
disappointed when they realise they've not gone to a zombie night or something.
Bless them.
And they're all holding hands in a crypt or something, and they're like, you can see all over their faces, what are we doing? Why am I doing this? It's quite funny, they make me laugh. They're always the ones that want to go home in the first break.
Yeah, always, definitely. Hazel, you are in expanding your little empire, aren't you?
Well, in terms of the tours, definitely. We'll be going. We're already in the process of doing it all now, actually. Taking the tours outside into Europe and making them more. We probably do about 12 a year at the moment, but we're looking at doing sort of up to between 30 and 40 within the next 12 months.
Wow.
So it is going to be quite big, mainly Transylvania, Romania and all those regions where they've got all this mystery and hauntings, particularly with the Hoya Battery Forest, which is one of my favourite ever locations. Castle again, we've been there a few times now, 4 times, but we're going back there a few times, hopefully at Halloween this year. The problem I've got at the moment is Brexit. It sounds awful.
See, that was going to be one of my questions. Yeah, because obviously we are leaving the EU. How's that going to affect the? Well, is it ghostly getaways? Is that what it's called? Your trips? Yeah, I thought it was.
So basically, at the moment, what we're doing is we're putting all the UK tours together with a vengeance, and we're including Northern Ireland with those, because that's not going to have a huge impact on the Brexit. No. And there's some great locations there, and also, Guernsey, Channel Islands, all those sort of places. And then the ones that we're going into Europe with, we've got them ready to roll. We're just waiting for the next 2 weeks to see what happens, and then we're going to make a decision, because we've got to look at worst case, best case scenarios for it.
Yeah, it's the only thing you can do, isn't it, really? But because I was thinking about that when I see that you was expanding it, I was like, oh, how is that going to work?
Well, I can't see. I mean, I'm not in. I don't think any of us should stop.
No, definitely not.
And whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But people will always want to go. I mean, it's in our genes, isn't it? It's in our blood to travel. It's just costs. It's the costs that I'm worried about.
Yeah,
I don't want to be going to somewhere that's going to cost double what it should do, because people can't afford that sort of thing. And I'll just be literally committing suicide, I think, financial suicide. So I've got to wait just to double check that, it's all feasible.
Definitely. I mean, like you say, it's not cheap anyway.
No, it's very expensive. I mean, I got some prices back this week for a location. I nearly fell off my flipping chair. I was like, what? Jesus Christ. So we won't be going there. I'm not going to tell you where it was, but we won't be going there.
But the prices in the UK can be just as extortionate as well, though, can't they? And like we said on GMB, all we're doing is funding these historical places that require the money, but yet the money, especially once they've been on TV shows, the location hire cost then trebles.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, when I first started, one of our most expensive locations is now one of our, not our cheapest, but is not an expensive location anymore, because all the other locations have surpassed them, and they've maintained their costs from the very beginning, but other locations are just crazy now.
It can skyrocket, can't it?
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of them aren't even VAT registered because they've got historical, exempt and all that sort of stuff. That doesn't help either.
Yeah.
So you've always got to look at that, So, do you only go with VAT registered company locations? Well, you're going to miss out on all the smaller locations then.
I was just going to say, when you do that, you're actually missing out on some really, really good locations.
Yeah, and there are loads. There's so many good ones. We're going to do I can't tell you where it is, I'm afraid, but we're doing a new one on Wednesday nights.
Hazel, I like spoilers.
No, I can't tell you.
Can we not have an exclusive?
No, I'm ever so sorry, but the location don't know if they want to do it yet.
Right, okay.
We're just going in to sort of test it out. It's a big one though, and it's in a good city. So if they do it, then it'll be open to all paranormal groups. So I won't ever ask for exclusivity on it.
Is there a reason why you don't do exclusives?
Because, well, there's a few reasons actually, Gemma. Mainly because I believe that they should be open to everybody. I mean, everybody should have the opportunity to go in and do these locations. Secondly, places like Newsham, we haven't got exclusivity. We share it with another company, but we were asked to do that. We didn't want it. We were asked to do it. The owner wanted us to do that. That's how we wanted to roll with Newsham. So that's what we did, because we had to keep it. We wanted to keep it.
Yeah.
Other locations that we do, I think that's probably the only one we really do exclusively, and that's not even exclusively. We try very hard not to do it, because it's so frustrating if you want to go somewhere and you can't get in unless you go with a particular company, and you might not like that company.
I
people
totally
might not
agree.
like us. So what do they do then? That's it. They can't go. And
exactly. And it is such a shame for those people that aren't going to get to experience that location, because isn't that what the paranormal field is about? Sharing information, sharing knowledge, and increasing the paranormal field. We all want the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like the smaller paranormal groups that are there for evidential reasons only. They're not there to, as a business or to, make any profits out of it. They just want to investigate. They're frozen out of a lot of locations now. There's not many they can get into without huge costs. Yeah, which I find really frustrating for them. But the locations are going to keep these costs on anyway, regardless. It's how it is. There's nothing. If I took haunted happenings away tomorrow, those costs aren't going to go down.
No, of course they're not. And to be fair, the price increase will probably still keep going, because this is how these places are keeping alive.
Definitely. And if you look at it from I started Haunted Happenings 12 years ago. My prices haven't changed in 12 years. They are still the same. Literally still the same, because I still have to compete with the people that don't have to pay VAT and things like that. So, I have to put more events on to actually keep the same revenue coming in.
Yeah, and keep your prices low.
Yeah, because I can't afford. I mean, we do have prices that are quite a lot higher, like somewhere like Dover Castle.
I was just going to say that is for locations such as Dover Castle. That place is phenomenal to investigate.
And we can only take a certain amount of people, even though it's a massive location. So we have to have the pricing like that, otherwise we can't afford to go. Same with Bolsover. We go there exclusively to a degree. But again, it's not something I've asked for. It's something that's happened.
Well, no, and in all fairness, Bolsover Castle wasn't exclusive.
No, it wasn't.
It was their choice, and I know it was.
Yeah, because I'm seeing one of the owners at Bolsover tomorrow. Actually, we've got another meeting with them. But it fits in well with our IAM tours as well, because we do the tour of the damned.
Yep.
And we do that tour in conjunction with Bolsover, so it works well for us, to be honest.
And again, Bolsover is an amazing location.
It's fantastic. It really is. But like I've said, on a lot of these locations, the smaller groups are more than welcome to join us. If you've got a group of 6 or 7 that want to do it, I've always only charged their costs to get into the location, not our costs. So they have their own space and their own time. And
you tell me that, Hazel, you're not going to get rid of me.
Well, it's true, because people need to be able to go into these and get the evidence. We're an events company. We're trying to run events to get some sort of experience for people, but in terms of evidence, we can only get what we get within the confines of that experience.
Yeah, and you're not always guaranteed to get anything.
No, and we don't know who's coming into that event. So if you've got a team of 6 or 7 people that you know really well and trust, then you know each other. I don't know 30 of the people that are on the event with me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at the locations that you do at the minute, and you have some amazing locations going on. You've got Drakelow, one of my all-time favourite events or locations.
Drakelow's a brilliant location. It's absolutely phenomenal.
That place keeps pulling me back time and time again. I must have been at least 50 times to Drakelow, if not more. Love it.
It is a great place. It's one of the favourites. I mean, we do every Sunday night at Drakelow. We do a 6 till 10. So basically, it's like £20, and for 4 hours, we run a ghost hunt there every Sunday without fail. So people can do a taster events, or we get small paranormal groups joining us and things like that.
Or people that don't want to stay out till 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, and just
and being on a Sunday
shorter
as well.
hours.
So.
And with it being underground, it's dark anyway, so you've still got, because let's face it, how many times as paranormal investigators do we have to say this? You don't just have to go paranormal investigating at night.
No, you don't.
Used to do it. I suppose it's when your kids are in bed and you can get out of the house.
That's why mine's always been night.
That Drakelow on a Sunday, I mean, we run that whether we've got 6 people, whether we've got 30. It will always run, regardless. So we never cancel it. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those events that we pay for and run every Sunday, regardless. Our commitment is to Drakelow that we'll be running that and paying for it, whether we have guests or not.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll give it to my team and say, do what you want with it. I was
just going to say, for me, that if I was working for you, Hazel, and we had no guests turn up, but yet we still had Drakelow tunnels, I would be in my element.
Yeah, well, that's what happens. And we actually just give it to the team and in they go and do what they want to do. And we've done that with a few of our locations. If we've got low bookings or no bookings, which we all can have sometimes on a quick event that we've just put up, then we'll just hand it over to the team and say, go on, do what you want. It's yours for the night.
But that's great for team bonding as well, isn't it? And team building and getting working together. That's what you need.
Yeah, and we do that a lot actually with our team. If we've got a recce like the one on Wednesday, we do it with the team go in, and it's like a bonding session as well.
Mm.
Do your team come back and give you the evidence that they found on locations when they've been investigating on their own?
Yeah, they'll do. I mean, the team, it's so difficult for them, and it always has been with events. That is, they don't get time to do anything. But when they do their own thing, they're going back to ghost hunting, and that's when they start bringing in their own equipment and setting up their own stuff, and it is really exciting for them, I think. And any evidence that they get, they show us,
which is what you need.
Mm,
I mean,
definitely.
We quite often have team only nights, don't we, Jo, where we'll just go off and do our own thing.
Yeah, I think it's good though that we do that, because I mean, it's like anything. When you run an events company, you get so wrapped up in looking after guests and providing that customer service for them that you tend to forget sometimes why you're actually there. And then Saturday night, that Hack Green Bunker, Gemma, that for us was just unbelievable, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That REM pod just going off and telling us truthful and untruthful answers. It was just amazing. And that kind of, I think you need to do that every so often, because you kind of
reinvigorates you, doesn't it? I can actually hear it in your voice, Jo. So basically you've done something and it's reinvigorated your interest, hasn't it?
Yeah, it gives you your passion back.
Definitely. See, that's what I lose quite a lot. I lose my passion a lot because I don't do it enough. I don't do that many ghost hunts anymore at all, to be honest. But when I was doing them a lot, it was literally on an event side of things, and all I was worried about that was my guests were enjoying the event. That was my passion for the guests. Yeah. I forgot about the ghost hunting.
That's what you do, though, don't you? When you're on an event like that, you're so engrossed in making sure everybody's okay that you do forget about it. And it's like, I think Hack Green for Gemma and I, well, for me definitely, it kind of just opened up my eyes to a whole new world again of investigating, because I'd missed it so much. And to be honest, I will be honest, I weren't looking forward to it before I got there. And then I got there and it was just mind blowing. Some of the stuff that happened, it was like, wow.
It was definitely one of the best nights that I've personally had in a long time.
Yeah, I'm really pleased you did it, because when you haven't got anyone else to think about but yourself to a degree, and you're able to absorb what's happening for yourself, rather than having to find out, did somebody just move then? Could you please put your carrier bag down? Could you please, do you know what I mean? It's like, man standing still and are you whispering? It's like, and you can just absorb what's happening and know that there's only you. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've got a few people in the chat room actually tonight. So Kerry Greenaway, Boss Lady, Paul Rupp,
hi,
Boss
Kerry.
Sam. Hi guys,
Hi,
in the chat room. Ness is in the chat room. Carl Hutchinson's in the chat room.
Paul Stevenson.
Paul Stevenson,
hi, Paul.
Bless his little heart. He has said, great show tonight. Women in the paranormal, get in. Paul, thank you, darling.
He's just scared.
Yeah, well, we're going to set Hazel on you, Paul. Daz Miller, Gary Fields. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
I think we've got a bit of a full house.
We have. It's busy in the chat room tonight.
It's really good, actually. I'm quite happy about that. It's
if anybody in the chat room has got any questions for Hazel, just pop them in and we will ask them. We've got about 15 minutes left, guys. So if you have got any questions, don't hang around. Go on, Jo. Sorry.
No,
Great
it's fine.
Article. I was going to say, Paul Stevenson's mag came out, didn't it? It looks fantastic.
I was just going to say something about that, because obviously we were quite lucky enough to have the Daily Mail photo shoot that kind of documented the women in the paranormal, and documented all of our different stories and where we've come from, and I think like Paul Stevenson has said before, the women in the paranormal are quite underrepresented.
Yeah,
is that right word? It is a word, isn't it? I'm trying to think. I'm like,
I know what you mean.
Contagious.
Yeah, underrepresented. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Are you happy? Are you going to go with that one, Jo?
Yeah, I'm happy with that one. But yeah, it's like.
Why do you think that is, though, Jo?
Why do I think that is? I think. Do you know what? If I'm honest, I haven't got a clue, because I do think that, on an equal footing, we all can collect the same evidence using the same techniques with, and, it is the likes of Ghost Adventures and, that kind of portray the male orientated groups and, ghost chasers and, it's just those programs that are just all heavily male, lead. Because I think the majority of people in the TV world think that the majority of women who watch these shows, and we've kind of seen that it's not just women who watch these shows. There's quite a lot of male fans of the paranormal who watch these shows who are now wanting to see females, go out there and do their thing on TV, not necessarily on TV, just in events,
Because my team, they're probably half and half male, half female. This sort of, it's an equal distribution. And also one thing I have noticed is when you're suddenly standing in front of a lot of guests, nearly 2/3, if not more, are female. Yeah. And I've always been flummoxed by that. It's like the men sometimes have been dragged there. So I can't work it all out myself. You're right, I can't work it out, because it's mainly female that there is a female orientation towards it, but it's the men that seem to have the leads in a sense of how.
Do you think that is because, though, like take football for instance, we're just going to go with a different one. There's a lot more female people now obviously watching the football and things like that, but back in its heyday, it was just a man's game, wasn't it? You know, they'd go to the pub, they'd have a couple of pints, they'd go and watch the football while the wives stayed at home, and it wasn't a place for, you know, for God's sake.
Yeah, I mean, I used to run a girls' football team, actually. I used to train a girls' football team right up until the age of 14.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say this, I'm going to get shot for it, I know, but it's what I think. If you turn the Women's FA Cup final on the TV, I guarantee 2/3 of that stadium would be empty.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, totally.
You put on a men's game and it's packed, and people can't get tickets.
Yeah.
So that's a fact, and I don't know why that happens, but I just think sometimes the status quo of things are as they are.
Yeah.
With female ghost hunting, I think it's very strange how it's mainly women that run the events companies, actually.
Yeah.
That they've taken that step further and set up a business out of it, successful businesses run by women. Like, you know, a lot of the companies are actually run by women. Some obviously some run by men as well. I'm not decrying them.
Yeah.
But
I think when looking at it though, men tend to be quite skeptical and quite closed off to that sort of thing. And I mean, I come up against it working with men on a day-to-day basis. You know, I get called Casper at work just sheerly because of they think it's funny. But I've kind of come round to that way of thinking. However, I kind of change people's minds when you actually talk to them about things, and they're all like, actually, I find it quite interesting. But none of them would actually hold their hands up and say, yeah, I want to go on a ghost hunt. So you usually find that it's more females who are quite open to the idea of going to a ghost hunt, which then kind of brings me on to, you know, skeptics on events. You know, do you think that they're a negative or they're a positive for an event?
Yeah, I don't care. I mean, people can come to our events and I don't care whether they're skeptics, true believers, sitting on the fence. They can be whoever they want to be. You know, that's entirely up to them. But what I find amazing is when you've got somebody who walks in telling you what they're not going to do and what they don't believe in and how they can't. That's a load of rubbish. And they come in with that mindset and they're so happy to tell you, don't give me a Ouija board. I'm not touching that rubbish and all this. And then they leave that event and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And it completely changes. I'm not saying it happens to everybody, but when it does happen, I think sometimes they come in and they make a lot of noise because they want you to say, no, it's okay. They want to hold the hand, really.
Do you think that that's kind of a fear thing that people actually do? They come in with the bravado of saying, no, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. It's, you know, it's a load of rubbish. And then when they actually get down to the nitty gritty, they actually find it quite interesting.
Yeah, I think they need to have the handheld towards it, almost like they didn't want to do it. They were forced into it so they can do it.
We had that instance. Yeah, we had that instance, didn't we, Gemma, with that young group of guys that we had, the Sheffield Fire Music.
Yes, yeah, we had a group of about 7 or 8 lads come in, and there was very loud. The bravado was fully there. We're not doing this, we're not doing that. We don't believe in any of this. Well, me and Jo was actually cuddling 1 or 2 of them because there was that scared. Well, we may as well have been. Like, they literally went and sat in the shop and was like, I want to go home now.
I think the thing is as soon as I walked into that room and I just said, one of you didn't want to be here tonight, who is it? And he just sort of like looked at me and it was like, you looked like a little rabbit in the headlights, didn't he? And then,
like being caught out.
Oh, honestly. And he was like, I'll do it. And then we went up to the ballroom area and he was being touched and, you know, he was being pushed. And then all of a sudden he was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this. And he was petrified. And he went downstairs and sat in the gift shop area and things were happening to him in the gift shop area. And he ended up leaving just before midnight because he said, I physically can't cope with this.
He actually said, I'm going to sleep with the lights on at home for a month now.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, my God. Do you know, the best one we ever had was a lady, actually. We were at Georgian House in Derby. And she was terrified, shaking, really upset. So we took her down to the base room where all the lights were on, and we just did a bit of table tipping next to the bar area. And the bar had the grate down, the grid, because it was closed off.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden this glass smashed behind the bar and all the glass came through the grid. And this woman jumped out of us. She was a complete and utter wreck by the time she left that place.
Bless.
I don't think she's ever left her house since, to be honest. But I felt so sorry for her. So she was taken to a place of safety only to be absolutely annihilated by it.
Oh, bless her.
And we don't know
That's
why
what
the
happened
glass
to this
smashed.
guy.
We just don't know. It was so weird that it happened. But, these things happen. You don't know what you're going to get on these ghost hunts. You don't know who you're going to get, what you're going to get, or how it's going to go.
You just never know. You can't tell beforehand.
Sometimes it's like pulling teeth and you stood there at 2 a.m, frozen. Nothing's happened. You're willing something to happen. Even if it's for somebody to scream, you just want someone to do something, don't you?
You do, but then I think sometimes you have the total opposite though, don't you? You have so much activity that you can't, you get an activity in different parts of buildings, and it's things like that you can sit there and you think, wow, that was an amazing night. And
I've come away from ghost hunts, and it's been wall to wall. You're almost running from one thing to another, and you don't know where to be at any given time. Other times, I've literally, the slightest thing was amazing because nothing's happened all night, and I think both of them breed authenticity. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
I mean, it's like a lot of shows though, isn't it now? I mean, we're going back to the TV programs and things. A lot of shows now are showing you evidence that they're supposedly have caught, but they don't actually sit there and show you something, show you an investigation where you've caught absolutely nothing. Because I think people would find that a lot more credible if they found nothing.
I mean, let's be realistic. That happens. It even happens as well as happens. That happens quite a lot. How many investigations have we all been on where absolutely nothing has happened at all?
Do you know, I don't know what you think, but what really confuses me is you watch a show on television and something really small but very phenomenal happens that we all see with our own eyes, and it's ignored.
Yeah, completely ignored.
And
because
I'm like,
it's not
that
big
was
enough.
so good. And there's no noise made about it at all, because it wasn't something major. And honestly, and I'm just little things. Like, I don't know if you remember that there was a show that did East Drive where the ping pong balls in the bedroom all moved. And that to me was the most amazing activity. But it wasn't really acknowledged, I don't think, on the night or when it happened. And yet other stuff that wasn't so big.
Yeah.
I find it confusing.
That's just the way the cookie crumbles, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like the impressive stuff seems to be not remarked upon, but the negative stuff is jumped upon, which outshines everything. Gary Fields is in the chat room, and he wants to know, Hazel, what's the best gasp moment you've come across that's had everyone gripped on an investigation with amazement?
Well, it's the one I keep going back to over and over and over, and that was the Crooked House, when the lava lamp shape came into the room and broke off into thousands of pieces, swung around us and joined together and shut off. And the thing was, nobody moved, nobody breathed, nobody did anything. We just sat there, absolutely transfixed. And it's something that I'll always remember forever. Do you know what I mean? And I remember it forever. It will not ever leave me. I can remember, I've been to thousands and thousands of ghost hunts, but that one ghost hunt with those people is something that we've got shared between us forever.
See, they're the nights that you just can't beat.
Yeah.
No, it's brilliant. And yet the night was so quiet right up to that last minute when that happened. So it'd been like pulling teeth all night, and then we just had a last minute vigil in the cellar, and that happened, and it was just absolutely gobsmacking.
Just before we go, Hazel, what is your favourite piece of equipment to use on an investigation?
Probably the EDI, because
I love Eddie.
Yeah, because it's almost like a lazy man's investigation tour. You've got everything on it, so you've got all the bits in one. Do you know what I mean? So you can measure so much on that one piece of equipment, as long as it's functioning correctly and the batteries are fresh. Because if you ever try to use it and the batteries aren't very good, you get all sorts coming out.
Well, that's the same with 90%, well, 99% of the equipment, though, isn't it? The minute your batteries start running out, they start malfunctioning.
Yeah, but you get so much more. You get all sorts happening with an EDI. Your temperature suddenly drops like 20 degrees, or someone's tapping on it profusely. But no,
I do love an Eddie, though.
Piece of equipment, because the guests like it as well, because it tells you 3 things in one, and you can get them now that do 5 in one, can't you?
Yeah, the newer models, the newer ones are amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking at buying some of those actually in the next few months, because I think we need to update some of our equipment.
But you see, this is it. There's new equipment coming out all the time, and I personally believe you need to know the ins and outs of that piece of equipment, how it works, what it measures, how it measures it. You need to know that piece of equipment inside out.
I have used the laser grid at Drakelow Tunnels, which was absolutely, something came running towards us on the laser grid, which was seen by everybody, and we all sort of ran backwards as it came towards us. But that was really clear. Do you know what I mean? But that's the only time I've ever seen a laser grid working and showing something.
Was it a full-blown plug-in laser grid, or was it one of the pen ones?
It was a pen on a tripod, so it was on a tripod. No one was holding it, and this figure just literally came running towards us through the grid.
Wow.
Very, very clearly, all the way down the tunnel, to the point we all suddenly started running backwards.
See, that's not uncommon for Drakelow, is it? For you to maybe not see it on a laser grid, because I'd be blown away with that personally, but to hear something running towards you at Drakelow is not uncommon.
You just don't know where to run though, do you?
No, because you're like, which way is it coming? Because sound echoes quite a bit in there, so you're like, if I go that way, am I running right into it?
I've actually done a Drakelow with one other person.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing.
It was terrifying, but it was good, but it was terrifying because you just didn't know what was what. You started hearing so many noises. But it was good.
There as well. If you ever get the chance to sleep in there, do it.
Yeah, we do the lockdowns. We do them.
You do
twice
a lockdown
a month.
in there.
Yeah, we do a 12-hour lockdown. Well, it's actually not 12 hours anymore. It's 10 hours because we have to be out by a certain time. So we've changed it to a 10-hour lockdown. But you can sleep there.
Yeah, so I've slept there a few times and amazing.
It's good. I've never slept in it, to be honest.
Oh,
I'm too old now. I can't.
I highly recommend it to anybody. Take your sleeping bag and off you go. Highly recommend it to anyone.
Take your frame and off you go.
I think that's another one for us, Gemma, don't you?
Oh, honest to God, it is amazing. I recommend that to anybody.
Well,
but
you're very welcome to come.
Hazel, you won't get rid of me. I keep telling you.
Yeah, well, you just need to send me an email, and then I'll try and get you onto one of the nights. Sunday nights are always the good ones. And then we do the lockdowns as well, so you're always welcome.
I love Drakelow. Absolutely love that building. But guys, we are well out of time. In fact, we've probably gone over, so I really do apologise. Hazel, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Hazel.
Thank you for having me. I've missed you both very much.
Oh, missed you too.
Saw you. So hopefully we'll see each other again soon.
Oh, definitely. I think we need to catch up. I've posted a link, Hazel, in the chat room for Haunted Happenings.
Perfect, thank you. I'll try and share everything later. I am useless, as you've probably noticed, with all this stuff. I don't remember, and then it's all too late. And I don't do my own sharing, so it's not something I do all the time anyway.
Bless you. Well, honestly, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I love talking to you, as always.
And you. Thank you so much. You take care, guys, and I'll see you very soon.
You too, Hazel. Take care, lovely.
Bye.
Bye, darling. And for everybody listening at home, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been a fascinating conversation, hasn't it, Jo?
It has been brilliant tonight. Do you know what? I've really enjoyed it tonight, and it's so nice to actually speak to another ghost hunting company and find out actually what what events they do and how they work and things like that. I always find it interesting when we do things like this.
And the ghostly getaways.
I know.
The ghostly getaways sound amazing.
I know. I'm seriously thinking about having a look at that if she definitely want to do that. But
how cool is that? That's something that you're not going to get every day, is it? But guys listening at home, thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back again next Monday, 9 p.m. Don't forget the show's on every night of the week. If you miss any of the shows, head on over to YouTube where you can catch all of the shows that have gone on. From myself, it's good night.
And from me, it's good night. And we just want to say another thank you to Hazel and everybody in the chat room for joining us this evening.
Night, guys.
Good night.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.